Fantasy Hockey Picks and Bets presented by Prize Picks here on the Mayo Media Network. I am Matt Moody, joined as always by DJ Mitchell to go through Thursday, June 24th, one game in the NHL. DJ, you covered for me on a Tuesday. You know, that game didn't go quite as we would have expected, but we get another chance to go at it again. So how you doing? And yeah, I mean, what's up?
Yeah, I feel like I had a lot of good calls in the player props, and then I had some really bad calls on the game in general, and it's playoff time, so you never know what's going to happen exactly, but I was touting Pacioretty pretty high, and he at least made me look somewhat smart, and I also thought the Cole Caulfield to score prop looked a little bit weird comparatively to his position and what he's been doing on the ice, and that seemed to work out, but other than that, yeah, I liked Vegas a lot. I almost actually considered taking them -1.5. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do that. And I just ended up not taking it at all personally. And I'm really glad I didn't. So, Matt, how was your trip? I mean, how did that go?
Yeah, no, I was in LA for just about a week, and it was great. Saw one of my buddies play 3 rounds at golf while I was out there, which was a whole lot of fun. Saw my sisters, who were in town for their own vacation. We met up once.
Live a stone's throw from me, but you saw them in LA.
And they were on vacation with your cousins.
Yeah, this is also true.
So whatever. DJ and I, basically family. So that's what you're getting here. You're just gathering around the family table as we talk about one scintillating game of Carey Price hockey. And yeah, I mean that's really what we are going to get into. But before we get to that, let's cover Prize Picks. So if you're new to the show, head on over to prizepicks.com right now and sign yourself on up using promo code MMN. It's in Mayo Media Network. What you do over on Prize Picks is you create entries with up to 5 players across multiple sports. These can be cross-sport entries, all of them. So for hockey, it's pretty straightforward. You'll see a list of names next to fantasy points. All you do is you pick the over or the under. So we actually do have a couple that we like here. I went first with my selection because I thought this was the best play on the board. And it's not because I don't like Vegas in game 6. We'll talk about the larger scale sort of, what we think is going to happen. But Mark Stone right now is at 4.1. And if you need a reminder of the scoring system over on Prize Picks, you get a half point for a shot, half point for a block, and then you get 2 points for an assist and 3 points for a goal. So 4.1 on Mark Stone, who hasn't even totaled 4 blocks plus shots at all in this series. He's not yet cleared it. You're telling me he's going to get multiple points or he's going to have a ceiling shots game? I don't see it. I love Max Pacioretty in this spot. I think his over is perfectly defensible. But at 4.1, I think Mark Stone is one of the easiest unders that I've really, that we've seen on Prize Picks. Because we love to take the overs. We love the shooters. But Mark Stone's just not a rate shooter. The power play is struggling. He's not playing great hockey. He doesn't have a point in this series. So I will take Mark Stone and the under. DJ, what are you thinking here?
I wanted to take something from the other side. So I went with the guy that had, I think, the best game, at least the analytic-wise, he had the best game in Tyler Toffoli, even though he only had the 1 assist. It was funny. I was talking to my friend earlier, and he was saying, the Canadians had 4 goals. Like, he's like, man, these guys look really good. They only have one guy that had more than 1 shot on goal that scored. Suzuki, Kotkaniemi, and Stahl all had 1 shot, 1 goal. I think that Toffoli was far and away their best player. He had 3 high danger shot attempts. He had the assist. He had 5 total shot attempts. So I'm highest on him to be the guy to, get a point, get a goal, a guy that they're definitely going to try to feed. If he scores, he automatically hits the over for you at 3.4, which is kind of nice. Like, you don't have to worry about it anymore. But also, I think he does have the rate shooting that could get you there. We know the Canadians are going to be blocking pucks. Any one of them could have a ceilings block game as well. And, more to the point of anything else, if you're telling me what line's going to score, it's probably the Toffoli, Caulfield, Suzuki line, and he's heavily involved in that offense. So I think that would be the easiest take there from the Canadian side.
I do like that.
Yeah, check out prizepicks.com, use the promo code MMN, check out all of the stuff. They got sports I've never heard of. They got all the games, League of Legends. I've heard of it. I don't know much about it. But, if you know any of these sports and you already are looking at them and trying to place bets, this is a good way to get some hockey involved with other things. Anything else you want to add there?
No, I think you covered it. So use promo code MMN. Let's get into things. I sort of wanted to start with a sort of segue based off of what you were saying about Tyler Toffoli. And this is Game 6. It's an elimination game for the Golden Knights. This is a game where if the Golden Knights are trailing in the third period, they will pull their goalie. If it's 3 goals, if it's 4 goals, really doesn't matter. Like they're gonna pull their goalie because they need to score. And the thing that I like about Tyler Toffoli that I don't necessarily like about, say, Cole Caulfield, the other rate shooter on that line, is that Toffoli kills penalties. He's out there in empty net situations. Cole Caulfield will almost certainly not be out in those defensive situations. So I do think that there's a little edge there, not just in sort of the goal prop. I know you nailed Caulfield the other day, DJ, that prop, but like just Toffoli in general, I think is a really at a strong price point, and also prize picks and all that stuff. But I do think there's a lot to like about Toffoli's rates and also about his usage in the spot, regardless of how the game script goes. And you can't say the same thing about Cole Caulfield, in my opinion. Any thoughts on that? Or any sort of like showdown specific things about like empty nets and all that good stuff that comes with the silly elimination 5 goal or 5 empty net goal type games that are just waiting around the corner for us.
Yeah, I think what we talk about every time we talk about showdowns is just building your game script. So if you're game scripting in Montreal, win a close win, even if your thing is going to be low scoring, you could definitely, I think it's very serviceable to say that Toffoli could be your captain because he gets that first goal. They get up 2-1. I mean, obviously you want Price in that lineup as well. And then Toffoli varies an empty netter, and you're looking at like a very unique roster construction, I think, with him as captain, that I don't think he'll be the highest owned captain by any stretch of the imagination, with Pietrangelo just a bit above him. I think he'll be a lot higher owned in the captain spot. So, I definitely think there's an angle there that's worth looking into. But like I said, definitely build the game script the way you want it to be. And then go from there. So if you are building a lineup that has Montreal winning, I think that would make sense over a guy like Caulfield.
All right. Before we talk about some other players and things like that, I do sort of want to talk about the game in general because, we do have these, we have money lines. We have the over under, that sort of thing. Right now, Vegas is minus 155 to force a game 7. This game is in Montreal, of course. I don't know where I'm leaning on this one. So to me, it feels like the over 5.5 is slightly better. But that's obviously a lot of that comes on the carry price. Like if he only lets up 1 goal, then the over's almost certainly not getting there. But if he lets up even 2, then you're saying 3-2 if an empty netter or something like that. Like I could really an empty netter tacked on to the 3-2. I could perfectly see that happening. And so I just kind of want to bet on carry price letting in more than 1 goal, and then just letting the rest sort itself out. So, I think I'm strongest on the over, and then I honestly might dabble in the Montreal money line at plus money. I just haven't seen the scoring touch that I thought Vegas might have found. Maybe Patches getting hot could fix that. But sheesh, it's real tough to watch that team right now offensively, which makes me kind of want to just take the plus money and maybe flip a weighted coin there. So do you agree with me, or do you have a different stance?
Yeah, I like the over last time out, which I thought was definitely going to hit. I mean, once Montreal had that 3rd goal, I was like, oh my God, it's going to happen. There's no way. And then Vegas scores, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get there. We're going to get there. I just couldn't quite. It was the engine that just couldn't. And I do like it. The 5.5, especially depending on the odds you can get. As of now, it's going to be like you're going to get a better odds on the over. And I just think a 5.5, it's so volatile, like we said with the empty netter, that it could hit, that it's worth it. I'm still siding with Vegas. I think they're the better team. I think that they honestly, for a 4-1 game, I don't think they got egregiously outplayed by any stretch. They had a lot of good chances towards the end of the game, and Carey Price stood in his head. Guys like Riley Smith and Marchessault and Pietrangelo had a ton of shot attempts, and I just don't think that it's going to hold in this matchup. I think Vegas finds a way to score on the power play, which they haven't done in I don't think since the pandemic begun. So hopefully they can find a way to get it done here. And I'm just going to ride it because, I was really high on it last time and it burned me, but I'm going back to the well. I'm just going right back to it. I think Leonard will be in net. I think Leonard will play really well. I'm not sure if you saw him but he was like, ask me questions on my flight. And like, he seems really relaxed and calm. He was answering people's questions on Twitter, just having a good old time. So maybe it's a good time to jump over to him and let that guy hopefully get them a win and force a game 7 in a really exciting series.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Vegas should be the better team. They are the better team on paper. It is pretty interesting on the series. Just looking at the expected goals each goalie has faced. Fleury's let in 10 goals on 10.4 expected goals, pretty much normal. Leonard obviously had one start, 2.7 against, let in one. So, good game from him there. Carey Price, 13 expected goals against, 11 allowed, which is crazy because he's faced 3 of those on the power play and not let in a single power play goal. Yeah. So there's what you're saying. I mean, the power play for Vegas needs to put it together. If they can get it going, they do have a new unit. I don't remember if you touched on this the last show, but
yeah, I think I mentioned that the unit was, maybe I did, but I thought I said Marcus was on the first unit, Pietrangelo. Maybe I didn't. I can't recall now.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Patches and Marchessault are on the top along with Pietrangelo. And then down low are Mark Stone and William Karlsson. So gone is the Chandler Stevenson power play 1. Obviously gone is the Alec Martinez, trigger man on the top power play. So I'm kind of staying away from, him, Theodore especially, just because I don't really want to be betting on block shots in this game when I kind of feel like the empty net goals, just the goals in general, are what I want to try and get a piece of. Which really puts us into a tough spot because Pietrangelo, I mean, what the hell do we do with him? Because the score prop is outlandish for a defenseman. It's plus 280 over on DraftKings. The next closest defenseman would be, Martinez at plus 400. We have Petrie and Weber way down the board, closer to plus 450. So it's like, they're really saying Pietrangelo has found a new gear offensively. And the last time you and I talked, none of this was happening. I mean, he had a big shots on goal game the day before. But this last 3 games of Pietrangelo has just been ridiculous. So where do you come down on that? The showdown price has risen to the point where you're basically choosing between him or a goalie. Right. So, it's real tough because he's on the heater of a lifetime, but I don't think I'm buying it. I've not been buying it and it's been killing me. So at this point, there might be just 1 game left. So I'm just going to shove it all in and hope it, works out for me finally.
Yeah. I don't know. This is a really, really tough price point because it's so hard that it's so rare you can find a guy that has, point upside with shot block and shot on goal upside, kind of all in one. And he's been hitting that so often, but he didn't hit it last time out. He actually didn't hit any of that. It really is quite tough. I could see lineup constructions where I include him in with a guy like Marchessault. That's a bit of a savings on Pacioretty. Just kind of those two together and then finding a little bit more of kind of more of a stars and scrubs approach. But if I'm going to play Montreal, I definitely want to get to full. So you're going to have to make some sort of concession. I could see the narrative of saying that that's your concession point. You're just not going to take that there and try to find someone down the list that's in a big role. Maybe you talk yourself into like a Ben Sherratt, but he doesn't get. It's hard to know what their power play in Montreal to like that doesn't feel great to target either. So it's tough on the showdown slate. It's going to be a mess for me, and it is right now. I'm very not. I feel good about nothing, other than the fact that I do think I'll have Toffoli in my lineup. I think that's, I think he's cheap enough to definitely play. Other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a mess at the top, especially because, it probably kind of comes down to which goalie you pick, and then the rest of it sort of builds itself. Thankfully, at the cheap end, we do have some just, obvious good plays. A guy like Nick Holden at 2K, it's not great, but it's certainly not bad. He's been, very, very hit or miss, but that's what you're looking for from a 2K player. He's out on the ice 15, 16 minutes. So he lets you fit in, a bunch of good players, obviously. Slightly less interested in a guy like Eric Gustafsson. However, if you are on both Caulfield and Toffoli, he's on the power play with them. So yeah, he's getting way less minutes. But he's probably got the best point upside because that power play is playing real well. Unlike Vegas, Montreal's power play is producing, which is weird because, Montreal's whole thing is they can't score on the power play. But anyway, Cole Caulfield, pretty good. So those are just a couple of the cheap names that really do stand out. Slightly more expensive that you could consider, in my opinion, would include Keegan Colasar, who's been oddly active. He hasn't gotten the shots or anything, but he's, sort of the, GPP bet to score. He's been moved up the lineup a couple times, strangely. So keep an eye on where he slots in as well. And then right there, sub 4K, you get to the rest of the quote unquote good plays. White Cloud, Braden McNabb, just like they're fine. And I think certainly that pick two of those guys, you can play whoever you want at the top, or just pick one of them and be selective with who you play at the top, and you can get it done. So that's sort of the showdown slate.
Just to kind of touch on that, I think that if you're taking White Cloud or McNabb, or maybe even Holden for that, you're probably scripting a Vegas win because those guys see seemingly much less minutes in a game that they're coming back from because they just don't have the offensive upside as Pietrangelo, Martinez, and Theodore. So I think if you are playing them, you're probably building around a Vegas lineup. And if you're taking some of these guys on Montreal that are cheaper, like a Sherratt or something like that, you're probably going the other way with it. Edmondson and Sherratt are probably only in lineups that you're saying, well, Montreal's going to win. I'm going to play, Price. I'm going to play a couple guys, and then I'm going to try to pray for an assist from a guy like Joel Edmondson and a blocks bonus. So that's, kind of the way I would look at it, if you're going to play in these guys at the bottom. But Montreal makes it a little bit easier because they're literally playing four guys almost exclusively at 5-on-5, and then Merrill and Gustafsson very infrequently filter in. So it's a little bit easier with them. But yeah, that's good on that. And now, do you want to get to some player props before we get out of here? Or anything that you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, we have a few shot on goal props that I don't think would surprise anyone who's listening. Max Pacioretty over 3 plus 102. This seems like the perfect spot for him to show up and put the team on his back, so to speak. He's far and away the Vegas Golden Knights' best weapon. And he just has to get it done if they're going to stay alive in this series, or the goalie's going to have to stand on his head. I also think that even though Cole Caulfield doesn't make as much sense as Tyler Toffoli, I think you could easily bet both of them. They're right around even money, over 2.5 right now. Maybe shop that around. I know we've been seeing some, not big, but some plus money on Cole Caulfield over 2.5. But that entire line's playing at over a 60% expected goals clip on the series. And I don't see that stopping here at home with Danault sort of blanketing the top line, whoever they choose to, blanket him with. They'll definitely get the Caulfield, Suzuki, Toffoli line, some good matchups. So I do think that, Caulfield and Toffoli are both good bets to hit their over 2.5 shots. So those are my favorites. I don't know if you saw any that stood out to you.
I guess just a couple. First off, the Pacioretty one I think is really strong. It pushed last time. I was really on it because I said, why would you play Pietrangelo with more variance from the point at worse odds than Pacioretty? One player that's had at least 2 shots in every single game as an over 2 is Nick Suzuki, who I think is going to get a lot of run. He's really coming into his own. He luckily hit that 2 and pushed with the empty net goal. But I think that he has more upside than 2 shots in most games. He's going to see all the opportunities. Maybe you're thinking, he's a bit of a pass first guy, but I'm not sure if that really is always going to profile or not. It seemed that way early, but in the playoffs, he has been shooting a bit more. So let's see what he ends up doing here. I don't mind that because I think he at least has 2. Although we're not playing for a push, I don't mind saying that more often than not, he at least puts 2 and probably more. Especially because he's done it versus Vegas every single game this time. And then everything else I pretty much agree with. I don't really have anything extra to go into. There's no crazy mispricings. I think that if you're getting, a little bit different, one of these, either Petrie or Weber to get a point props, I think is fine. Weber is plus 162, and I know he's been pretty cold, but these defensemen see a ton of minutes, just for some reason not getting the point because of the power play, but the power play isn't, the only way they can get a point. So I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to take a guy like that who, in a closeout game could see even more run than the 24 minutes. I mean, They had 31 in that one of the overtime games. If you like think it go to overtime, like he's gonna be really involved. So I don't hate it just because he's on cold. It's come way, way, way down.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that if you're sitting here, looking to bet the defenseman to get points, that your money's probably going to be better spent over on, DraftKings Showdown, because these Montreal guys are so cheap. If you build a Montreal wins lineup, it is actually really easy to do. Not only, the Caulfield 7K, just like way too cheap for his upside, but you're talking guys who play 25 minutes and can hit the blocks bonus, a la, Alex Pietrangelo, of course. But Pietrangelo is 9,600. Weber and Petrie are both 7K or less. Like, it's literally less than the average cost of a player on the slate, like with a good captain. Like, it's just bonkers. So to me, it makes a lot of sense to play those Montreal guys if you like them, just in a showdown team. But, I'm not going to sit here trying to tell you if you're just a bettor to head on over the DraftKings and deposit, but you probably should, because I think that's, the best place to spend your money. So any other thoughts here? I mean, we covered pretty much everything. It was nice to finally talk about this series. I was out last week, or last show, obviously. And last week we covered the Islanders Tampa. So, it's been good to talk about this series a bit. I'm hoping personally for a game 7, because, who doesn't want a game 7? But, I don't really know how likely that is. I think it's truly, a good bet that Vegas wins, but probably right about 155. So, I'm just looking forward to seeing this one and seeing a desperate team and seeing if the Cinderella story of the playoffs can keep it going. So,
yeah, no, I think that pretty much sums it up. I definitely, I think that Vegas can find a way to get the win here. I do like the over a little bit more, and I don't think it's hit at all, right? The over hasn't hit once in this series. Is that correct?
That is true.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's correct. So it'd be the first time, and I kind of like it. Sometimes when that happens, the books just keep getting further and further away. And, if we had a 5.5 game during the season with Vegas, and we were like, we would have taken it all day long at these odds. So, I'm not going to completely get away from that just because of price being hot. But yeah, no, is there any of your favorite bets that you wanted to mention before we close out?
No, I think my favorite one is just around Max Pacioretty, either to score. I shopped it around. I found him at plus 182 on FanDuel. I really like that number. He's the goal scorer, priced near a guy like Mark Stone at plus 235. Like, no, just give me Max all day. I think that's a great number. And otherwise, you know me. I'll be focusing on the showdown action and hoping to run into the right lineup and take home 10K. So,
all right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Definitely check out Prize Picks. Use code MMN for the $100 match bonus. Check us out on Twitter. They're right below, always. Anything else? I think I'm missing something.
No, obviously we don't know what these.
All the Mayo Media.
Yeah, that's true. Yep, Mayo Media Network, always good stuff there. Golf tournaments, especially, get into golf. But the really, we don't know what the schedule looks like for the Stanley Cup Final. There's a very real chance, depending on how these upcoming games go, that it goes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we don't get to speak. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But whenever it's the potential last show of the year, just got to say thanks to everyone for checking us out all year. And if we see it, we'll see you. But if not, hopefully you'll come back for next year. So anything else you want to add, DJ?
No, I think we'll talk again. I'm going to stay hopeful.
All right, cool. So anyway, big thanks to Prize Picks for sponsoring the show. Check them out at prizepicks.com. Use promo code MMN when you sign up for an up to $100 match deposit bonus. So from DJ and from myself, good luck, everybody, and we will see you.